Hello, beautiful people of our beloved Mother Ghana from all around the world. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good whatever time I'm coming to you. Welcome to Nasage, where it's all about country and people for a better Mother Ghana. Today we're going to have a look at what's been in the news about the press freedom ranking for our beloved Mother Ghana for the year 2022. It's said that it is the lowest since 17 years, and the Ghana has moved from 30th position to the 60th position. And this report is compiled by the Reporters Without Borders. Now, that has raised comments and views from different courtesies. Journalists have given their views as to what they think is the reason. And so I want to talk on it from the country and people point. As you would have known by now, Nastage is all about country and people, patriotism, no other sentiments. So now, Ghana has moved from the 3rd position to the 10th position in Africa. And as I've mentioned, is believed to be the worst performance as far as press freedom ranking is concerned in the last 17 years. Now, I wanted to go back in history how press freedom was viewed and how journalists were treated, media houses in certain period, i.e. in the 80s, when Mother Ghana was under the military rule. So we can have a comparison of what we have been experiencing maybe for the past 10 years. Of course, during NDC time, now is the MPP time. We don't have to draw party lines on these issues because the journalist and the media house is meant to be working for country and people, bringing facts and informations for the hope that we'll have a transparent democracy. So some of the facts or factors that determines the positioning is pluralism, media independence, robust legislative framework, and safety of journalists. These are the factors that is used to determine the rankings around the world and Africa. So now, if we go back into the 80s, what was it like? What, under the military rule, how was journalists treated? How was the media? Were they free to speak? Can they just say what they want to say, be it fact or be critical with government policies and decisions? One thing we should remember is that democracy promises freedom of speech. Freedom and justice is what we are promised, okay? And this democracy is meant to be government of the people, by the people, for the people, as we all know it. So, in effect, we as a country can even be critical with government. Notwithstanding journalists that are in the job of being critical. But there's something I've identified, which I will not digress, but I'll mention that, which I think one of the journalists even mentioned that in their account of why the press freedom ranking has been the worst since 17 years. Now, in the 80s, let's just put it under the military rule, security forces can just pick people into custody and keep them in communicado. And as a deterrent for opposing the state or the government of the time. Restriction on basic rights, such as freedom of speech, press assembly was forbidden to some extent, arbitrary arrest or detention, freedom of speech, and press was not guaranteed. That's how it was in the 80s, you see. So how is it like now? When the guidelines were given, people can only speak in certain things or not government politics, and that's how it was. So guess it's as good as mine. How do you think it is now, or for some years now, how is it like? At that time, there's a choice as to what you can or cannot say. And then the media criticism of government and government policies is not tolerated at all. Now, the several newspapers were closed down. The PNDC chairman even admitted that fear of government's reaction has led to the culture of silence. Have we experienced that lately? Even to the point that, of course, out of the fact that I'm just a Ghanaian, you hear that individuals who are not even journalists, they are not comfortable to be challenging or even make comments or say things against government. If that's what it is, then what are we practicing? Because democracy allows us to be critical with government, allows us to even resist their attempt to introduce whatever it is they may attempt to introduce that country and people may feel is not appropriate for them. It's within the provision, it's in the democracy package. So if journalists are being critical, of course, if a journalist is or a media house is published a false information or incomplete, inaccurate information, and the individual or government thinks that this thing needs takes a legal action, should it always result into aggressive arrest, picking people up? Yes, if these individuals are processed, the judicial system, the legal system is tested, or we don't trust our legal system, is tested that yes, the matter is passed on to the police because there's an allegation that somebody has violated certain policy of certain law as far as information is concerned. It's left with the police to investigate. When they investigate, they have sufficient information, they process the individual for court. If the court requests for their presence, they refuse, or the police request for their presence to aid investigation and they refuse, then yes, warrant can be given for their arrest. But for an outright arrest because somebody has said something or has said something critical or has said something that is said to be false, then it's not anything different from what was being experienced during the military rule under the PNDC, to the point that the chairperson at the time even have to admit that the fear of what government or the state may do has led to this culture of silence. Journalists like Kweku Baku, Kwesi Pratt, Kwame Karikami, and Ben Efson were arrested and detained for as long as it took before they were released. But that brought to our attention what Ben Efson said, that some of the journalists have been reckless. Of course, he has made some very important facts that I will encourage you to go and read it on the three news website. So you see what he has said. But one of the things that I have picked up is he says some of the journalists have been reckless. So I want to ask him, was he arrested at the time because he was reckless, or he was just being critical with government? He was just speaking on behalf of the people because that's what journalists are meant to do. And so if these journalists of our time, maybe it could be youthful exuberance or the desire to make an impact, they may say things that may not augur well with some individuals. What do we do? If there's a violation, let's test the system. Let's use the system. Let's not go and aggressively arrest them and detain them and all this. No, except they are resisting to cooperate with the process, then yes, whatever the process has said to say, if any individual is not forthcoming or is not aiding the process to become fruitful, this is what will be done to them. That should be done. So it's not a matter of recklessness. Of course, people will say things and may not augur well with the sitting government, but the way it is at the moment, could we liken it to what was happening in the 80s when he and his colleagues were being arrested and detained in Incomicado? Let's think about it from that point. Nobody is saying that the journalists, like Professor Jampu was saying, that if the president is not above the law, they will not be above the law either. Of course, as far as democracy is concerned, we should all be equal before the law. Some have some privileges because of the office they occupy, but there should not be a room for you to abuse your office or the privileges given you. You see? So he said, if the president cannot be above the law, they cannot be above the law either, and they cannot be thin gods. I mean, stuff like that. But again, Professor Jampo have also said some very important things, identify some that, of course, I agree with the fact that most of the media houses are partisan oriented. They are party affiliation or probably even owned by some political parties. So the issue has become a matter of retaliation. Because if this media house says something, or this journalist that seems to be leaning towards a particular party says something, it actually infiltrates the other party because they feel what he's saying is purely fueled by their partisan origin or whoever they operate for. And that's the challenge. The media should be independent and free. But unfortunately, if not all, majority of our media houses have some sort of partisan affiliation and sympathizers of a particular party, and that is the problem. So if this sitting government maybe arrest people or put them behind bars or not tolerant of what they say because of whoever that person is has an association with a particular government, if the next government comes and it's not this government, same things are going to happen, and that's the problem. So the media in Ghana largely should become independent as much as possible. We cannot not say that party members will not start a radio station or a television station, but the mass majority should become independent. So the job of the journalist can be done and done properly. And so the sitting government and the rest of the governmental officials will also become tolerant of the fact that these people are more or less the mouthpiece of Ghanaians. They do investigations. They do their best to make sure those at the forefront of practicing or exercising the provisions of the democracy will sit up and bring some level of transparency. So that's my opinion. The partisan alignment, as far as our journalists and media houses is concerned, is the problem. And so even if they are being genuine in their critical analysis of things, the in-quote opponent is seeing them as a party-oriented criticism. Because in our country at the moment, at least I can count 4 different lines that actually motivate what our politics, our democracy is, which is a very big challenge. Tribal, partisan, virtue of association. These things are the problem. Can we drop these lines at the point and just look at the facts of the matter and address it accordingly? If we can do that, we will go very far. Anyway, I thought to talk about it till I come your way. God bless Mother Ghana. Long live the Fourth Republic. Actually, before I go, the Paul Adom Autry also said, okay, Ghana should develop their own ranking system. It's okay for us to develop our own ranking system if we are not going to be raking it. If any particular government that comes will not influence the outcome, there's nothing wrong for us to have our own ranking system. But this is a global system that everybody participates in. What is his argument? His argument is he doesn't understand why Burkina Faso has performed better. The fact that Burkina Faso is under military rule at the moment is no reason to think that the military is abusing the power available to them. So your analysis, Mr. Autry, is not justifiable. It doesn't hold water. You can't just make that statement. Bring facts from Burkina Faso to say that atrocities are being committed, journalists are not allowed to speak, they are being arrested when they should be allowed the legal system, police to investigate and if need be arrested. But outright arrest is what is going on in Burkina Faso. If you don't have those facts, but just a generic statement because you think Burkina Faso is being led by a military regime, no. They may be led by the military, but the military may be observing critically the needs of the people and understanding that journalists need to do their job and call them out if they are not working in the interest of country and people, the reason for which they took power. So, Mr. Adom Autry, your reason for which you want to start your own tracking system of press freedom, which can be done, but for the fact that Burkina Faso has performed better than Ghana, give us facts. What is your reason why you don't accept the fact that Burkina Faso has done better than Ghana? Give us facts. Atrocities being committed, people being beaten, the country people cannot raise their voice to say, look, Mr. Chairperson, we don't like this. And journalists are being imprisoned from left, forward, backwards, arrested if they make any assertion or raise some critical questions about government. Do you have those facts to share with us? If you don't, then it's not enough to become critical of the fact that Burkina Faso has done better than Ghana. Anyway, till I come your way, God bless Mother Ghana. Long live for public. And please do share the video. Like the video, share it with other Ghana lovers.